In today's video, I'm going to be showing you a hand-painted Black Santa design using some of the colors from the Madam Glam Advent Calendar. There are a lot of really rich warm tones in it that just really play well with this design. And on the thumbnail, there is a radial gradient, which I really love for some reason right now. And then on top of that, that background is matte. And then on top of it, there is red swirls that are dusted in glitter. They're sugared and it's so pretty. I love that sugared red. It actually stands out really nicely against the background and it just has that warm, fuzzy feeling. I love it so much. I hope you guys love this design as much as I do. And don't forget to click subscribe to see all my future videos as well. Bye!
So we are going to begin with the color Arctic Night, which is a sheer kind of slightly foggy color and has a dusting of a beautiful holographic silver color in the background. This is from the Madam Glam Advent Calendar. So we're going to do a single coat of that on the nails with the French tip and a double coat behind Santa. So there's that double coat. And then using the color Firewood, which is also from the Advent Calendar. There are a few colors that I'll be using throughout that aren't, but for the most part they are. I'm going to be painting the base of his face. And when you're doing this, you can keep in mind you don't have to paint below the mustache area. So I did like from nose to forehead and then just a little bit of the mouth that's showing. So we're going to fill that area in, go ahead and cure that, and then mix the color Firewood with a little bit of the one that's called Milk and Cookies to get a lighter shade. And we're going to use that to start highlighting the face and kind of finding those facial features. So regardless of, what colors you're using, what brand you're using, the first thing that I personally like to do is find the color that I want the majority of the color to be, like the base bone of the color, lighten that color, and then darken it. So when you lighten it, either use a little bit of white, mix a little bit of white in, or a little bit of a lighter shade, but try to really stick with that first color. Whatever color you paint with in the beginning, whatever you do the initial shape with, is the one that you want to be the main color, and then have those other spots where you lighten and brighten, and then you can darken it. After you have those first highlights filled in, you may want to blend them out by mixing a little bit more Firewood so that you're darkening up your lighter color, or make a little patch of it on your palette. So get it a little bit closer to that original color with the Firewood that you painted and use that as like a third color. Essentially what you want to do is, and I know it's Robin Moses nail art, she would show her palette that she'd paint with all the time, and while she used a different I'm now adding just a little bit of a pink hue. So I'm just going to mention that quick. A little bit of a pink hue to the cheeks, to the tip of the nose, and to the lips. And that color will be in the description box below. I don't know that I wrote it down in the video, but it'll be there. Also from the Advent Calendar. But what she did is she showed the palette, which is kind of nice, and maybe I should do at some point. And she showed how she mixed to get like this gradient of color. And when you do it and you mix it so that you have a bunch of different colors available to you at any time, you can just go through and grab little bits of each color that you need as you go. So now that we've got kind of a good start done to our Santa's face, we're going to take and we're going to darken Firewood with a little bit of black. And I used the black gel paint for this and not Perfect Black, which is Madam Glam's black gel polish. Just, that black paint is so pigmented and it is so beautiful to work with and to paint with that when I have the chance to mix a gel paint into my gel polish to get these different shades, I like to do that. So we're going to be adding some of those darker spots to it, some shading, especially around the nose and the eyes. And then as you're going around the eyes, you can even outline the entire eye with that slightly darker mix just to kind of get the basis of it in there. If you wanted to, at some point, you're going to need to add the whites of the eyes, add the rest of that color. It's kind of nice for me to have the area for the eyes already primed and prepped and ready to go, have the space sort of set there for them before I add the white. That's my personal preference. I know other artists like to paint the eyes in and then you can kind of surround them with the color and depth if you want to. Up to you, however you want to work it. Add a little bit more detail to the lip. Flash cure flashlight light is something that is so helpful when painting these little portraits like that, because even if you're not painting over the same area that you're going to be doing the next layer to, if you just flash cure it quick and set it in place, you're not going to mess it up. So as soon as you're happy with something, it's nice to just flash cure it so that it isn't going anywhere. And then every so often you do need to do a full cure. And my rule of thumb for when to full cure is if you're going to start overlapping something, that's when you need to do a full cure. You don't want to do multiple layers just with the flash curing in between. You want to actually make sure that everything is fully cured. And the Madam Glam gel polishes are a 30-second cure. So it's not very long. And if you're doing this where you're doing multiple sets at one time, say you're doing, like a full 2 hands, do so much on the first set and then put them in the lamp and then repeat your process on the second set so that you have sort of a nice rhythm going and that you're working along with it. I'm going to be adding a few more even brighter highlights. You want Santa to have that kind of lit from within glow. So make sure that you definitely give his skin a nice glowy highlight to it. Tip of the nose, the nice little wrinkles on his forehead, his cheek, any of those areas are the spots you really want to make sure that you hit with a highlight. I'm going to go through with the white gel paint and fill in his eyes, add even more highlighting. Like I said, you want him to have a nice, magical glow. Add a little bit more to the cheeks for that highlight, blend them out, pat them out. You don't want the highlights to look like a bright spot, but more of just like that smooth glow. We're going to be just doing a lot of that. That's going to be with white gel paint this time, just to really brighten those up. I love how when you put the flashlight on it, you can really see all of those details come to life. Because the gel products are so shiny, you actually miss a lot of the detail until you finish with top coat. And whenever you're painting a character or a person or whatever it is like this, and you have a lot of different layered detail and art go into it, bear in mind everything will smooth itself out to, a good portion once you apply your top coat at the end, whether it's glossy or matte. So if there's any areas that you're having trouble blending in, you typically don't have to worry too much about it because it'll correct itself once you top coated. It'll all smooth out. With the Madam Glam red gel paint and then the red and black mixed together, I'm going to be painting his hat. If you have a longer nail that you're painting this on, you will probably need to add some of the red coat as well, but because I know that the rest of this tip of the nail will be filled in with his beard, I'm not worrying about adding any of his coat. Add his eye color. I went with actually the same color Firewood for his eyes. Add a little bit of the black in there to add around them. And then with the white, you're going to want to fill in the fur of his hat, his mustache, and his beard. So I'm using white gel paint once again. You can see how beautiful and pigmented it is. The one thing about Madam Glam's gel paint that I love more than any other gel paint I've personally tried is that it doesn't seem to be as sticky. It's definitely sticky. Like if you were to accidentally touch it, it is certainly a sticky feeling. But as far as painting with it, it doesn't give me quite as much, it doesn't fight me so much on my brush. Some types of gel paint that I've used, their consistency seems to be so thick and sticky. It's almost like painting with honey, and that's not my preference. I don't like that particular feeling on my brush. It almost seems like it's tough on the brushes too. And so I really like Madam Glam's gel paints because they're a little bit thinner of a viscosity, which makes painting with them, I personally believe, a lot easier. So then you're going to want to fill in his beard, his mustache, and anything else that you need to. When you're doing the mustache, just be very cautious not to get the white gel paint where you don't want it. And then using the color Glaze, which is from the Advent calendar and is a light gray, we're going to be adding some shading to the hat and to the beard and the mustache. So just do little bits at a time, kind of filling it in. It's a very creamy light color, so once you apply it, you can blend it out pretty easily and get some really nice different levels to it. Going to definitely want to shade underneath his lip. Make sure that the mustache appears to be a little bit brighter than the beard that's around it, so it really kind of sticks up away. Add those little bits. If you want to take it a step further and you wanted to add a little bit more of a darker shade into the beard, you could add some Perfect Black or some black gel paint into that color Glaze and use that then as another shade darker. So Terrell and I were talking about this, Terrell's my husband, about whether or not Black Santa should have gray beards or white beards. And we had it was a long discussion. We have a collection of Black Santa figurines, and some of them have white beards and some of them have like a charcoal gray or medium gray colored beard. And we went back and forth for quite a while, and we ended up deciding we didn't know which way we thought was appropriate or better or more aesthetically pleasing. So that's why I was mentioning extra ways that you could shade in his beard if you wanted it to be more of that darker gray shade versus the bright white. When you're all done painting, apply a layer of matte gel top coat, the Madam Glam Velvet, over the top of the entire nail, and then no wipe top coat, which is the glossy, just over the sparkly background. So now on the thumb, we're going to be doing that radial gradient. So we have Milk and Cookies and Firewood, and you're going to take the ombre brush and just sort of slightly swirl them together to start with before you brush up and down. That just speeds up that ombre process quite a bit and creates those nice intermittent sort of medium shades between the lightest point and the darkest point. You may have to do a couple coats of this. 2 coats seems to be sufficient, especially with radial gradients using an ombre brush. So there's the first coat, here's the second coat. On the second coat, I used a little bit less of the lighter color, the Milk and Cookies, because I felt it got a little bit too bright after the first coat. I wanted it to be a slightly more mahogany type of a shade. Once you're happy with that, apply the Velvet top coat. Once that's done, you're going to grab your red gel paint and you're going to be painting in your swirls. Resist the urge to flash cure. That's mostly a note for me since I am an avid flash curer. As soon as I have something that I'm happy with, I typically like to hit it with the light. But in this particular circumstance, you don't want to do that. You want to leave everything wet and sticky. So we've got the first little bit of the swirl done. Keep going, add in all of your swirls. Do all of them at once. Don't just try to do a couple and then sugar them and go back through. It's a lot easier if you actually just do them all at once. You just have to be careful not to smudge them as you go. So there's the first ones. The fun thing with the filigree is that there's different styles. Some people like to add little polka dots into their filigree. They like to attach their swirls together in a really interlocked lacy type look. Some people like to do really small little swirls. I love the big whimsical swoopy swirls myself, but there's different styles. Some people like to do like a bumpy swirl that goes around. Those are really pretty, and depending on the circumstance, I do like to paint those. Some people like to have little swoops going into them. Anything goes here. This is just a fun little swirly. It just reminds me of ornaments. It's kind of the idea. It's a really swirly, beautiful ornament. And then once you have all of your swirls painted, you're going to grab a red glitter. A fine, sugary, dusty red glitter. You don't want a big chunky one. And you're going to fully sprinkle this nail with the glitter. At this point, it might completely cover up the nail and you won't really see the background. That's fine. Once it's cured, take a brush and dust it. And then your swirls will be completely visible and so pretty. Now on the other nails, so we've got the index, middle, and pinky nails, or did it... Yeah, whatever it is. The other ones, you're going to be adding your French tip first with the color Firewood. And then after you have the French tip painted, it doesn't have to be completely perfect, but knowing me, I'm going to make it perfect. You're going to apply a layer of no wipe top coat over the whole entire thing. And then you're going to apply velvet top coat over just the tip. So just over the Firewood color. Cure that again. You want the sparkly background to remain sparkly. And then with red gel paint, paint 2 stripes going across the tip, one thicker, one a little bit thinner. Once you have those 2 stripes done, you're going to sugar them with your red glitter again. Once you have that tip sugared, cure it. Brush off the extra and then take some white gel paint and outline your French tip. Once you have that done, you're going to fluff it like it is the fur trim on the Santa hat. So just go through and add a little bit of a fluffy texture to the white line, both from the bottom going up and the top coming down. Or wait, the top coming down, bottom going up, whatever it is, from both sides, fluff it out. Once that is all floofed, you can either leave it as it is if you want it shiny, or if you want it matte and slightly raised, sprinkle it with clear acrylic powder and cure one more time. And this set is done. I hope you guys love it as much as I do. Like I said, we have a small collection of Black Santa figurines that I've been giving one to Terrell each year for Christmas since our first Christmas together. And I've really grown to love them. So here we go. Here's this set. I absolutely love the swirls on the thumb, the whole set. It just is this nice, rich, warm Santa design. So I hope you guys love it as much as I do. And don't forget to click subscribe, see all my future videos as well. Bye.